Some interesting news came today. The death of Sinwar, who was the head honcho, the leader of Hamas, the one responsible for planning out the October 7th, 2023 attacks on Israel. And, obviously, depending where you fall, you're either jumping for joy, you're relieved, or you're upset and you think he's died a hero. But I'm not going to talk about what I think about the war in terms of who I think should win and all this and all that jazz. I want to take it back a little bit to the Iraq War because, and it all makes sense, but so the Iraq War to me was something interesting because it was the first war that you could get real-time updates on. The technology was sufficient enough where we could have people take videos, have body cams uploaded very easily, shootings, you can watch literally Saddam Hussein's execution. The Iraq War started something that was very different. Beyond, why we were fighting all these things, you're talking purely in terms of technology. We were able to have a war that was very, very well detailedly documented. Fast forward to Russia and Ukraine. I remember being a sophomore in high school when Russia invaded, and it was nothing like I've ever seen because I would just refresh Twitter over and over again, and every single second new videos come out. This exact bomb detonated this exact place. Putin sent these missiles. You could literally track things in real time as a person in America, just refreshing your Twitter page. A bunch of Twitter accounts were documenting it, and now we have the Israeli-Palestine war, and the technology is as good as ever. So much so that I believe it was Hezbollah had to resort to pagers. Funny enough, ironically, they were distributed by the Israeli government, and we all know what happened with that. But I digress. But the thing I would like to point out is, as I reacted and I figured out about Sinwar's death, I was like, okay. And then you go on Twitter, and, you can see a footage of a very high-tech drone going up to Sinwar's apartment or wherever he was staying at the time and seeing Sinwar right there. And I don't want to go into too many details, but this was not something I had to dig deep to find, or I had to go through the back corners of the internet. This was right on my Twitter feed from CNN. Maybe there's a blur here and there, but it's something else. And what I think people are not really bringing attention to is the fact that Sinwar's death, especially captured so detailedly, and I'm not the only one that's going to be seeing this. A lot of people are going to be seeing this, especially young Palestinian boys who grew up in Gaza, in the war, and that just leads to nothing but, in my opinion, just further more radicalization. So the fact that, it was General Eisenhower, before he was president, who led the European theater, who made sure to document the Holocaust as much as possible, because he knew in the future there was a possibility where, they could flip the script on the Holocaust. Someone else just says, the Holocaust didn't exist, this and that. But obviously we have great documentation. Well, not the best, but good enough where we can see the atrocities and the horrors of the Holocaust. But there's a flip side to it. Now that you're able to record and document every little piece of information, something like Sinwar's death, I guarantee, will radicalize a nation for generations to come. And you hate to see it because then, the only solution, I'm using very heavy air quotes because solution is not really positive, but is the solution just eradicating every single Palestinian? I don't think anybody would agree with that. I seriously don't. But in the sense, what I'm trying to say is that, as many casualties come from this war, as many hostages get taken, documentation of these things will live on forever and ever and ever, and there's nothing that we can do to stop it. And, with the rise of AI and all these sort of things, I wonder what's it like, in the West Bank? Are, those kids looking at this, being fed some sort of information and saying, you know what, he was a hero, Sinwar. And I'm just using one example. I'm sure this is happening throughout the war, that you can fit these videos, fit these pictures in any sort of context you want to make it look like, you're the victim, or you're on the right side, God's on your side. So, John F. Kennedy had a great quote. He's like, kingdoms fall, men and women, leaders, presidents, kings die, but ideas will live on forever. And so, it's very sad to think that I don't foresee an imminent solution where both sides are satisfied in this war effort, because of how much documentation and misinformation and disinformation gets perpetuated through social media with a, finger tap, with a swipe, with a push of a button. People are able to radicalize and get polarized and lock themselves in echo chambers so quickly that it's almost becoming scary in terms of, will the movement ever die, whether you're from the Israeli or Palestinian side of things, Like I said before, and I'll say it again, I don't feel as though I should comment on who's the good side, who's the bad side, because one, I have no information. I don't have enough information, I'll just say that. And two, I don't have stake in this. So I would feel pathetic, and I would feel almost egocentric to throw my hat in the ring of something as complex as this. But I'd like to know your thoughts. Does documentation, does this technology allow wars to be extended, and ideas and movements and, radicalization to be prolonged? And if so, is it possible to stop it at this point? It's a very cynical topic today, but that's just been festering in my mind. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoy your day. I will see you tomorrow, and yeah, take it easy.